Hey, what's up, sports fans? Welcome back to another episode of Debategate here at the High Stakes Sports Debates Network. Yesterday, we just got done talking about who our MVP frontrunners are. Today, we're going to talk about some of our dark horse MVPs, because there are some other guys scattered around the league who have been pretty freaking valuable to their team's success, to their team's production. Just every level of the infrastructure of a team has shown value. And I am joined by the editor of Rebel Media, Lars Lewis. Lars, my friend, how was your day, brother?
Oh, it's going quite well. It was a good talk yesterday regarding Tom Brady and Cam Newton. But I feel like today there is some division, I think, between us regarding the value of one and the other when it comes to this dark horse MVP candidates.
Definitely, because when you talk about Brady, Cam, those are your front runners. Obviously, the Panthers are 11-0. Obviously, Tom Brady is Tom Brady. So those were your front runners. Today, we're going to dive into our dark horse guys, and I'm going to let you kick this one off, Lars. Give me your dark horse MVP for the 2015 NFL season.
Yeah, I have to say, if you go back to last year, with this team in particular, when this guy went down, that whole team went down. And we all saw that when they played against the Panthers last year in the playoffs. This year, he's healthy. He is putting up ridiculous numbers. And he's well on his way to being the comeback player of the year. And that's Carson Palmer.
Carson? Yeah, I knew you were going with Carson.
It's amazing. This guy, people don't realize he's 35.
Yeah.
He's been around the block for a lot of years in the NFL. He's been in the NFL since, 2003 after
Something
that.
Like that, yeah. I mean, being 35 in the NFL as a quarterback, I mean, you're not a spring chicken, but you're still relatively at the tail end of your prime.
Mm-hmm. This is really the first full year that Carson has been healthy in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not either battling through an injury or something's nagging. He actually looks good out there. He looks healthy. And we can finally see the kind of talent this guy possesses.
Right. Yeah, he's slinging it like bread out there just without the turnovers. I mean, what has he got? Less than 8 picks?
He's got 9 this year.
Oh, he's got 9.
But he's got 27 touchdowns, that's pretty amazing considering the fact that there's not really a tremendously great receiving core.
Right.
Well,
they've got talent. I mean, Fitzgerald, you could call him a relic.
What I'm trying to say is Larry Fitzgerald's not the Larry Fitzgerald of 08 when Kurt Warner was throwing the ball. John Brown is a bit of a new guy that's coming in this year.
Right.
And it's hard to really list who else is there in terms of wideouts for Arizona. It's just such a solid system by Bruce Arians that gets the best out of every player he has on this team. And there was a lot of questions this year regarding their offensive line too. It's still very young. It was rather suspect, but they've kept Carson Palmer on the up and up most of the season.
Right. And Palmer plays in a division where obviously defenses are very tough. I mean, they beat they did lose to the Rams. Obviously, Todd Gurley showed what he can do. You went into Seattle though, and I mean, were they even playing in Seattle? I mean, that's my question. I mean, that crowd was silent while Carson Palmer basically performed surgery at the quarterback position.
Oh, it's crazy. 363 yards, 3 touchdowns. You do that against Seattle in Seattle. That's pretty darn impressive, even though the Seahawks aren't really the same team as they've been in the past.
Right.
I just think of it like this. He could be a dark horse for the MVP on the sole fact that he got hurt last year. He was out for half of the season, and no one really knew, what we were going to get out of Palmer this year.
Right.
Because he came off a major injury. He was coming back, and the O-line was rather suspect. The run game wasn't exactly a certainty.
It's doing pretty well, though. I mean, Chris Johnson looks like it's 2011 again for Chris Johnson. Unfortunately, he fractured his tibia. But I like David Johnson. It seems every time he touches the ball, he's scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would give Palmer the nod because he, in terms of value for quarterbacks should be looked at far more than people give it for.
Right.
You can tell the value of a guy when he's out. You looked at Arizona last year when he was out, and let me tell you, Tom, it was ugly.
No, and
it was really ugly.
And I hear you, and I don't disagree with your points. I do disagree with my dark horse MVP, though, personally. I've got to go with Adrian Peterson. I think when you look at this football team, they're leading the NFC North, okay? I mean, the Packers have dominated that division for so long. I think it hasn't been, since 2010 the Bears won that division, or I think 2012. I know there was there was a Viking or a Bear in between there, but generally it's been the Packers.
The Vikings won in 2009. They were the number.
They were the 2 seed,
1 or number 2 seed
behind
against
the Saints. Yeah. But I look at Adrian Peterson. I mean, the dude's leading the NFL in yards after contact. Okay, that's ridiculous at 30 years old. He's averaging 4.9 yards per carry. 4.9 at 30 years old. That's unheard of. Okay? When I look at Adrian Peterson, he's still got it. He still cuts like crazy. He's got great balance. Balance is a very unsung hero in terms of traits for the running back position. Being able to move laterally and keep your speed. I think he's one of the best in the NFL at it. His power is just everything about this dude is nuts. And when I look at Carson Palmer, he's not even the best in the league at what he does. I can probably look at Adrian Peterson, maybe bar at Todd Gurley, who's still young and learning, but I can point at Adrian Peterson and I can say, you know what? You're the best in the NFL at what you do at your position. I mean, Jamal Charles is hurt. Obviously, Marshawn Lynch isn't that guy anymore. Had sports hernia surgery all season. He hasn't been that guy. 8-2 or 9-2, so they're somewhere in there. I don't know their wins off. I know they only got 2 losses. Mike Zimmer, what he's doing at the head coach position has been fantastic. This guy should have been hired a long time ago. This dude was buried under a rock in Cincinnati. It's about time someone showed him some praise. But Adrian Peterson is carrying this team. There's no dynamic talents on the outside. You can knock Fitzgerald for not being able to get down the field. He still gets open with pretty good route running. Michael Floyd is a pretty beast if he can stay healthy. I like John Brown. I just think there are other quarterbacks right now in the NFL that are better than Palmer, Brady, maybe your guy Cam. Heck, the numbers don't show it. I still think Russell Wilson's more talented. I take Adrian Peterson strictly because he's closer to being the best in the league at what he does than Carson Palmer is at his position. What are your thoughts on that?
You bring up an interesting point regarding the running backs that have gone down this year. Le'Veon Bell's out.
Yep.
Jamal Charles is out. Deion Lewis, who was catching fire those last 4 weeks, is out. And like you said, Marshawn Lynch is mainly out.
Right.
He's been out mainly almost the entire season. There's really no dominant back besides Adrian. And you're the best at the position. And that's true. I'm not gonna debate the fact that Adrian Peterson is not a monster, because he is.
He's a cyborg.
The guy is huge. But how far can Adrian take them? Palmer is a guy that can take the Cardinals to the Super Bowl. I just don't think Adrian can take the Vikings that far. It's just we're in a league now where the quarterback has taken so much value away from the running back that despite having an amazing season, Adrian Peterson is just not going to get those same amount of votes as Carson Palmer would.
And that's a shame if you ask me, because I think Teddy Bridgewater with this defense and with this run game might be good enough to take this team. Played all right against the Packers, not good enough. He's only a second-year guy. He doesn't really have anybody to throw to. So when I look at this team offensively, yeah, you make a good point. Adrian's all they've got. But I'm a believer in Mike Zimmer. I'm a believer in Norv Turner. I think this team could churn out wins. And they're similarly built teams, because when you look at the Cardinals, they do rely on that defense to bail them out sometimes, as does the Vikings. They've got, I think, the number 9 overall defense right now. So,
Yeah, it's quite amazing that Minnesota is 8-3.
Is that what they're 8-3?
Yeah. Okay. Did anybody see that coming?
No. I mean, they have a shot at the number. They have a shot at a bye if the Cardinals drop a couple.
Can you imagine that? The Minnesota Vikings who have a has-been in Mike Wallace, don't have anybody that Teddy Bridgewater can throw to. They've got a one-dimensional offense, and they have a stout, physical, nasty defense.
Right.
I mean, I watched them play against Oakland, and they pounded the you-know-what out of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they made Derek
picks.
Carr look more than human.
Getting Kendricks, getting, Anthony Barr last year, bringing in Barry Cofield. I mean, just this defense is really good. But if there were a couple of other dark horse, you're going with Palmer. I disagree. I'm going with Adrian. We disagree there. You guys could tell us who you think in the comments below. A couple other names I just want to bring up. The Houston Texans right now are 6-5, and largely because of the play of DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not saying this kid should win it. Someone needs to vote for this kid, though.
6-5 in the AFC. That's for sure.
In the AFC South, I understand it's terrible, but you still have a shot at a home playoff game, and you've had a revolving circus at quarterback, whether it's been T.J. Yates, whether it's been Brian Hoyer, or that bum whose name I'm forgetting. He's from New England, the backup there.
Well, he got cut like 3 weeks ago.
What's his name? For some reason, Ryan Mallett. Thank you. I mean, you've got multiple quarterbacks. You made Darrelle Revis look like he was a childhood schoolboy a couple weeks ago in Denver. All right, this kid might be the best receiver in the NFL, and nobody's talking about him as an MVP as why this Texans team is winning games.
He has been most of their offense. I mean, that's for certain. And I do think that his game has gotten even better now that Cecil Shorts is healthy.
Right. Oh, agreed, yeah.
Cecil's actually been playing pretty solid this year.
He has.
But I'll still take Palmer because I still think that the quarterback in today's league will have more value than of the running back. Even though you take AP out of Minnesota, they're screwed.
So we shouldn't even call this thing an MVP then. I mean, we should just call it, the quarterback award, because it seems that every year it's a quarterback, and I understand your argument. Palmer's just as valuable.
Works nowadays. I'm not saying I advocate it, but I'm saying that's just how it is now.
Yeah, and it's unfair. Because Adrian Peterson is carrying this football team, and I agree. Listen, Palmer is too. It's tough for me when the guy is basically the best at his position in the league, and there are 5 of the quarterbacks right now, talent-wise, that I would take over Carson Palmer, but it is what it is. My last dark horse guy, injury inconsistency, injury riddled. You talk about quarterbacks, Lars. Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, where would this Pittsburgh team be without Ben Roethlisberger? Obviously because he's been hurt, and we've seen Landry Jones, we've seen Michael Vick. Hell, we've seen the Wildcat with Le'Veon Bell and D'Angelo Williams because Vick was so terrible. Obviously, Ben Roethlisberger deserves, like, a vote or two.
I can agree with that.
I mean, Ben Roethlisberger...
He's tough as nails.
You can't question his toughness. A dude dropped on his foot, and he wanted to get back into the game. Hell, his foot was sideways against the Browns 4 years ago, and he played that game. You want to talk about a guy who's tough, who's got the determination and the killer instinct to say, listen, man, I'm hurt, but I'm going to throw it all on my line for this team to try to get some W's. It's Ben Roethlisberger, baby, but... Ultimately, your dark horse MVP is Carson Palmer. My dark horse MVP is Adrian Peterson. Let us know who your dark horse MVP is down in the comment section below. Also, if you haven't followed Lars Lewis on Twitter, he's at LarsLewis12. And please, people, let's like Rebel Media. They've got great stuff. I write for them. It's just a great source of sports information. Go check them out, the Rebel Media Group. Also, check out Dynasty Nerds. I write for them, and they do a great podcast. So. This was Debategate. We were talking dark horse MVPs. If you guys like the content, throw some love to those thumbs. And, we'll see you next time. We're going to be talking AFC Wildcard on Friday with Nick Lippa. So he'll be joining the show. Also, we'll have Tony Callens on the panel. We will be talking about MLB free agency. We'll be talking about some of the moves that have been going on in the Major League Baseball. So, for Lars Lewis, I was Tom Jude. This was High Stakes, baby, and we'll see you here next time.
High Stakes Sports Debates.